present this information to you in this virtual world, in a time where we're all thinking about self-care maybe a little bit more, especially for me personally, than we did in the past. We came across this notion of supporting the social emotional learning in adults. So another reference that you'll hear a lot while we're working through this content is from an author named Nick Wolf, who writes for Panorama Ed. You'll have access to all of these materials when the PowerPoint comes to you later on. But we're going to use his definition to define the adult social emotional learning. And what does that mean? It's the process of helping educators or those of us who support youth in building their own expertise to both teach, but to also focus on what does that mean for themselves? What are my own social emotional competencies, and where can I grow personally? So it's a little bit different, and that's where we're going to focus our attention today, is what does that mean for us in our programming? You can go to the next slide, Mallory. So we found a lot of research, and like I said, we focused on 2 today. We're focusing on the research that CASEL has done and the focusing on some of the information that Panorama Ed has pulled. The main thing that we want to pull out here that won't come as a surprise to anyone is that when you focus on the social emotional learning of adults, the environment for students is drastically improved. Research all around the world says over and over again that when adults are able to model the competencies, when they're being honest about how they're growing personally in their own self-care practices, that it creates a stronger learning culture for students. So in order for us to be able to do that, there are 3 things that I'll talk about in a little bit that CASEL is recommending that programs can do to help foster this environment. It won't come as a surprise to you, I'm sure, that stress affects a teacher's ability to stay in a job, be satisfied, and when the stress is increased, job turnover increases. And so that's one reason why spending time on this as a program to cultivate the competencies of an adult can really positively impact the programming for students. A study from Yale says that teachers who were kind of mandated to instruct students in these SEL lessons didn't necessarily have a positive impact if they weren't also working on themselves. So there's this idea that in order to really improve the environment for students, we have to be improving the environment for adults. I think you can go to the next slide, Mallory. So the how CASEL says, and this is where we really want to dig into today, is what does it mean for a program if they want to spend time supporting the social emotional learning for the adults in their program. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to create opportunities for adults to learn. So that looks like sharing your own social emotional your own self-care practices, and then talking about them with another adult, being honest about where we have space to grow, being honest about where we are experts, and then collaborating with those around us and sharing those, encouraging one another. We have to have ongoing and meaningful professional development in all areas. So when we're learning together, we're growing together, and the youth will be positively impacted when the culture among adults is a happy one, when it's a supported one. We need to collaborate. So creating space in our programs for adults to collaborate. Time is something that we struggle with. There's never enough time, but research says that when we create the time to let adults collaborate, youth are positively impacted. So we want to make sure that we have structures in place for ongoing reflection. We're talking to each other and we're saying, what went well? What can we do better? We're reflecting on the interactions between the adults. We're saying, this is something that the students are observing. They can see us interacting, and when it's not positive, how can we reflect and improve when we're working in front of students. When the leadership is invested in collaboration, staff feel supported and empowered and valued. All of these things that don't come as a surprise, but research is starting to back up this idea, especially when we're focused on the social emotional learning, and putting in environmental supports for staff to collaborate. So that looks like weekly or monthly meetings. That looks like a space for adults to meet and have a bulletin board of shared practices, or a shared meeting space. There's many different ways to build and create an environment that fosters collaboration. And then the last thing, one thing that we're going to dig into a little bit more later on is the modeling. I kind of touched on it a little bit, but adults have to be able to model the appropriate competencies and the appropriate reactions, and the students will soak that up. So creating opportunities for adults to model these competencies that I won't dig into just yet, because we're going to talk about them a little bit more in breakout rooms. But CASEL says these are the 3 things. If we are intentional about learning, collaborating, and modeling, if the adults have their ducks in a row, then the environment will inadvertently support youth's social emotional development in a positive way. If Teresa or Mallory, you don't need to, if there's something you want to jump in here, or we can move on to that first activity.
Well said, go ahead.
Yep. So it's kind of like, if anyone attended the meeting last week, Dr. Jennifer Uli-Wells mentioned the analogy or the example of, putting on a plane, putting your face mask on before you put the face mask on of anyone else or help anyone else. You have to help yourself first. And so that still kind of applies to this, where we're saying we want the kids to succeed, but to do that, we have to make sure that we have the skills and we are able to do that. And so we're going to dig in a little bit more about the importance of the adult competencies and how you can make sure that you are fostering those and modeling those so that the kids are able to learn and practice and grow. So there's many different SEL competencies out there depending on what model you're looking at. We went ahead and used this one. We really liked the breakdown of the self-management, self-awareness, growth mindset, responsible decision-making, relationship skills, and social awareness. So in our next activity, we will be going into different breakout rooms, and each room will be getting a core competency to talk about, so one of these 6 competencies, and you will get a question to hopefully stem some conversation. So we have one poll before we jump into that other breakout session. Okay, I'm going to launch it now. There are no right or wrong answers. It doesn't show who's voting for what. So go ahead and take a minute looking at the first question. Which of the following core competencies would you consider one of your strengths? And then the second question, which of the core competencies stands out as an area you would like to improve in yourself? So take a minute. It's anonymous. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just a nice way to kind of check in and really see, start that reflection process.
I'll just jump in here and say, we're engaging you in these activities, and we're excited to dig in to some of the discussion around this. And Mallory, I know we'll talk more about this in a little bit, but these are things that you can take and do with the staff or peers at your program. So all of these are kind of designed to be replicated in another space.
Yeah, thanks for jumping in on that, Hannah, because we talked about the importance of modeling. So we always strive to model for you as well things that you could take back and do with your staff or back in your agency. So I'm gonna leave the poll open just for a few more seconds. We still have some people voting. It's very intriguing to see we have a lot of people that are high in those relationship skills, which honestly is not surprising when we're looking at working with kids. You have to be able to develop those relationships. We have a lot with the growth mindset and responsible decision making.
Mm-hmm. And just to jump in, Mallory, down at the bottom, folks would like to improve in their self is the self-management piece.
Mm-hmm.
And the growth mindset, that's a good one too.
Yep. So I'm going to go ahead and end the poll right now. I'll share the results for just a second. Like we said, at the top, a lot of you chose the strength as relationship skills. I really like that. I think, like we said, it makes a lot of sense. At the bottom, it doesn't seem like there's an overwhelming one way or the other, but the self-management, I think, is one that we always can improve upon. I know personally, I'm always trying to do that. And then it looks like a close second is that growth mindset. Let's see. So what we're going to do now is hopefully, Hannah, were you able to drop that link in the chat box? Okay, so in the chat box, there is the link to the full document of this. We'll be breaking out into our breakout rooms. Like I said, each room will be assigned one competency and one reflection question. Once we get in our rooms, I will send those out to each of the rooms. If you would like, you can go ahead and download or go to view the whole document so that you can see all of them. We will be sharing that with the PowerPoint slides later, so you'll have a chance to dig into all of them. But we really just wanted to highlight one question we thought was really relevant for each of the different topic areas. So I am going to break us up into, we have quite a few participants today. I really like it. I think just for time's sake, we're going to divide it up into 6 rooms. So I am getting ready to send you all in. Be on the lookout at the top of your screen in the chat box for the competency for your room and the question.
Mallory, can you hear me?
I can.
Emily had to leave, so,
Okay.
And Hannah and I were both in the same room. So do you want to put me in another room to help with that?
Yes, I will. In just a second. There's a lot of attendance today. I like it.
Yeah, I think I counted 79.
Oh, wow. What room were you in, Crystal?
I was in 3.
I'm going to move you to number 6.
Okay, thank you.
Did you get the invite?
Not yet. Now I did. Thank you.
You're welcome. And it looks like Madonna and one other person are still in this room. Go ahead and if you want, unmute your mic and we can kind of chat while everyone else is in a breakout room if you want. Yes, I am the presenter today. Madonna, are you there? Hi, Dakota.
Hey, I think I accidentally exited out of the meeting.
Oh, you're okay. Do you want, I can send you back to a room or we can just stay, you can just stay in this room and we can chat about it here.
I think I was in group 5, so you could send me back there if you want.
Okay, you should be getting the invitation. Madonna, are you there? Okay, I'm Hi, Michaela. Are you just joining us, or were you kicked out of a room on accident? Gotcha. All right, we're bringing everyone back together. So just so you all know, welcome back to the room. We still have a few people that are closing out their conversations in their breakout room, and they will, as we join in. Christine, I see you raised your hand. Go ahead and unmute yourself, and you can ask a question, or you can use the chat box.
Oh, no, it was an accident. I meant to put
Oh,
that.
okay.
Sorry.
Not a problem. All right, so it looks like everyone is back from their breakout rooms. So we wanted to do a quick share out. So I'm sure there were some great discussions because there was a few rooms that no one left when all the rooms were closed. So I'd love to hear a quick share out from a group or two.
I can talk to our discussion in growth mindset. We talked about how to model being vulnerable, and some of the things we talked about was being okay with what our emotions are and naming them for students, especially right now. It's okay to help them see that they're not alone in some of the uncomfortable feelings we might feel right now. There was a great example to wear a face mask. That's one way to model being vulnerable for students in a face of discomfort right now, to say that we're not immune to this and we're all in it together was kind of the discussion we had. And then some great discussions on how to maintain curiosity and different ways that that's come out in this virtual world we're living in.
I love it. That's great. If one other group wants to share out, that would be great. Feel free to summarize some things or put some highlights in the chat box so that we can make sure to compile those later and send them out to everyone.
If I can just share real quick, just people in the chat box. Some people said what they do to relieve stress. They've learned a foreign language online. Morgan says that she was in the group with relationship skills. They talked about how it was important to have relationships with kids, coworkers in order to establish trust. Be open and listen, be empathetic was Carla. I like your responses, great. Thank you, everybody. Anybody else want to share?
Nope. Go ahead and keep putting those thoughts, ideas, things in the chat box, and we will make sure to compile those later. Okay, so we're going to move on to maybe a new tool. I know that I hadn't heard of annotation before, and then when I learned about it, I think it's really, really fun. It is something that allows you to draw on the screen. So if anyone's seeing, I'm kind of like circling right now, so you can kind of see, it allows you to interact with the screen, and it's just, in my opinion, something fun. So at the top of your toolbar or the screen, there should be an options toolbar. And if you go down and you find the button annotate, we will practice that. We're going to do an activity to try and get a little collaborative and engagement in maybe a new way. than what we've done in the past. And then it's also a tool, again, like Hannah said earlier, we're modeling things that you could hopefully take back and do with your team, your organizations, your staff, your kids, anything like that. We know that the virtual stuff is not going away anytime soon. So this is a fun thing. I see some drawings right now. So I'm going to move on to the next screen. Okay. So there's lots of options here. You guys are finding the toolbar. It's great. I don't need to worry about it. All right. Okay. I'm going to clear everyone's annotations right now. And then go ahead and try out the maze. Ooh, I see someone's working on it. Couple people, woo, someone did it. Awesome, awesome, awesome. This looks great. So I hope that's a pretty fun and easy thing. I'm gonna disable everyone's annotations right now so that we can clear this screen and move on to the next so everyone will be able to see it. There we go. All right, so as you saw, a lot of you got it, great. So we're gonna do a quick self-care check activity called Give 1, Get 8. So as you can see on the screen, there's 9 different boxes. They cover a variety of different self-care activities and self-care areas or routines. We know that self-care was part of the social emotional because it's that we're taking care of ourselves first so that we can be better for the kids and we can learn and model and collaborate. So when I'm going to, in just a second, I'm going to turn the annotation back on for everyone. If you can, choose a stamp, draw a circle, square, star, whatever it might be. Choose one activity that you identify with or you identify and you're great at it. You do it on a consistent basis. And then we will do a breakout session and we will kind of discuss some more of those. So in just a second, I'm going to open annotation again, mark one activity that you can identify with as a self-care tool.
And for those of you who don't have access to annotation on phones, Zoom is still working through that. You can jump into the chat box. Thank you, Mindy, for sharing where you might land here.
Perfect. Yeah. So we wanted to try this new tool out for everyone to introduce it to you. Feel free to use it, but just know as well, you can always use the chat box. And I have made everyone's annotation available. So go ahead and if you would like to annotate on the screen, mark where you identify a self-care activity. Feel free to put it in the chat box as well. Ooh, I see a lot for making time for regular exercise.
In the chat box, we have
Oh, go ahead.
praying and nurturing the spiritual health, another for dedicating time to friends and family, listening to music is another self-care.
Me time, unwinding, yep, recharging after work.
Cool. I'm going to stop everyone's annotation. Thank you so much. It looks great. I love this. So I hope that you were able to, I'm going to clear everyone's drawings for right now, just so that you can have kind of a easier view of the screen. We're going to send you back into your breakout rooms to see if you can get 8, if you can get the other 8 self-care activities. And maybe a question to think about and discuss is, what new strategies can you learn from each other and how can you put them into use? Okay, so Just 1 second while I get ready to send you all into the breakout rooms again. All right, I'm getting ready to send you all out. We'll give you a couple minutes to do this. I'll send a message when we're getting ready to bring everyone back together. And happy chatting. Madonna, I saw your message and you said exercise, yoga, friends, and family. I think that's really good. For those of you who are still in this room, you can unmute your microphone and we can talk, or you can chat. Up to you. Madonna, can you hear me still? Hi, Katie. Are you just joining us, or were you accidentally kicked out of one of the breakout rooms?
My computer screen was glitching a lot, so I had to leave the meeting and then rejoin.
Gotcha, gotcha. Do you want me to send you back to a room, or do you just want to stay in here? We're getting ready to kind of come back together anyway, so.
Either is fine with me.
Okay, I'll keep you here. I'm interested, what was one of the ways, one of the self-care activities or themes that you do or have taken advantage of?
Well, I haven't had a chance to look at them yet. I guess I make time to exercise regularly.
What kind of exercise do you do?
Well, I've been starting to run with my dog.
Ooh,
More like
very ambitious.
jog/walk, but
Yeah. Very, very ambitious. I like it. I'm glad that the weather has gotten nicer. It's made being in isolation a little more bearable.
me too.
Rachel, are you there? or anyone else?
Hi, yep, this is Rachel. I'm here. Sorry about
Yeah,
that.
no, you're okay. What's one of the ways that you take advantage of self-care activities?
I've been going on daily long walks, and that's just nice to help break up the day and to clear your mental a little bit.
Yeah,
And then definitely just carving out some time for myself.
yeah. Any specific thing you do when it's the carving out your me time?
Oh, I just get to watch my junkie shows with no interruptions,
Oh,
like
I
my
love
bad
it.
reality TV shows and everything.
Yes, I am a Bravo addict.
Oh my
so-
God, they're so good. Yeah.
Yes, I see some thumbs up. We should have a
We got
Bravo
Housewives tonight.
Housewives watching party.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome.
Maybe we'll look at setting some social CIOST thing up for the future.
Sunday
Crystal,
night,
Brittany, take note of that.
Sunday night, the Atlanta reunion starts.
Oh, the first ever virtual
Yes.
reunion.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
All right, so we still have a couple people joining us from their breakout rooms. So again, we wanted to talk about the self-care activities. We kind of talked a little bit when everyone was joining back in, some of the me time things that we do are taking some time just for us to watch our TV shows. Found out we have a few more Bravo fans in the house. We talked about exercising and taking walks to help break up the day outside. The weather's been really nice. Is there one group or one other person that wants to share out something that they discussed or something, how they plan on implementing a new self-care strategy in place?
I'll go, Mallory, if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
We talked about a lot of good stuff. Someone shared that they, in the morning, they put on some good music to kind of help get them in the right mindset and a positive mood for the day. Taking a shower at the end of the day and, you know, just kind of washing everything off of the day, your emotions and everything. Christina said in the chat, which came up in our discussion, hanging out with our pets and our four-legged friends can really do a lot. And then being outside and having dinner outside and just kind of enjoying that vitamin D from the sun.
Yeah, I love it. I'm taking notes of all of the different ideas in the chat feature and out loud, and I have a full list going for some new self-care strategies for myself to implement. So hopefully next week we can maybe report back and share out maybe a new thing that we did.
And then, can I jump in here, Mallory?
Yeah.
Just to tie it kind of back to those three things, the how of learning, collaborating, and modeling. This kind of give one, give eight would be something that you could take back to your program to help your staff dig into and kind of ticks the box of collaborating and learning. And then with the hopes that eventually you could take that back to your students and be modeling the best practices.
Perfect. Yep.
Perfect.
All right. So we have a couple minutes left. So we wanted to dig into our resource spotlight. So again, this is something new we're trying with this series. We want to make sure that if you have great resources, we want to get them out and share them. So if you have any, raise your hand in that participant bar or feel free to put them in the chat box. It could be a link, a website, a tip, a trick, a profile to follow on social media, maybe a new show to watch on TV for that self-care. And then again, we compile all of these, and then on Fridays, we send them out with the slides just so everyone can have access to them all. So is there anyone that wants to jump in verbally and has a resource or something to share?
I watched Michelle Obama's Netflix video last night. I'd like everybody to watch it, please.
That's on my list.
I've heard great things.
It was wonderful. Girl, I love her. First lady forever. Oh.
Yes, that is on my list to do this weekend.
You're gonna be glad you watched it.
Thanks.
Did you say it was on Netflix?
Yes, it is on Netflix.
Yes, it is.
Thank you, Carla, for sharing. Anyone else?
Hey, everybody. I'll jump in and share. I've been part of group 4. One of our self-care methods was playing with our pets. I found out our group, we all have pets. One of my group members had a 3-legged cat. That was interesting. And so that was cool. Yeah, our pets.
Fun. Thanks for sharing, Jean. All right, I know that we're coming close to the end of time, so we want to make sure we will, again, be following up with all of you. We will drop the link for the survey. We invite you to do that just to give us some feedback, see how things went. If you need DHS credit, there will be a section in there for your name and marking yes or no. If you need a certificate, we'll put the link in the chat box, and then again tomorrow when we compile all of our resources and other tips and tricks from what we talked about today, we will send out the link to the survey as well as any other resources and highlights from today's session. We can stick, we're out of time. Thank you so much. This has been great. We can stick around for a few more minutes if you have anything else you want to share, if you want to just socialize more with adults. I know that's what I'm going to do for a few more minutes. But otherwise, thank you so much. And oh, I forgot we have a closing slide. Sorry. Join us next week. We have 3 more sessions planned. Join us next week for STEM challenges at home. This was a big topic that some people identified as wanting to do. How can they virtually present STEM challenges and STEM activities for their kiddos using some common materials? So next week we're going to dive into that and do a lot of hands-on work in the breakout rooms. So come with some great ideas. If you have any questions or anything, we've put some of the point people up on the screen. DHS questions, please email the lovely Brittany. She's fantastic. Just know that she might be bombarded with DHS questions, so it might take a little bit for her to follow back up on, but I can say that I've never had Brittany not respond to an email. If you have any questions about the CIOST or the webinar logistics, Crystal is your lady. Her email's up on the screen. And then again, if you have any questions about the content of any of the meetings, or if you have questions for the coaches, our free emails, Hannah, Teresa, and my emails are up there on the screen for you. I think, is this the last slide?
Yep. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
you so much.
Bye, everybody. Have a good day and weekend.
Yep,
You
have a nice
too.
day.
You too.
Thanks everyone
Bye.
for coming. Hey, Mallory, can you go to that last slide real quick?
Is this, oh,
No.
I tried clicking to the last slide and it wouldn't go.
Okay. You can go back. I just wasn't sure if it was there. Thank you.
Yeah, it was there. I tried clicking it. I don't know why. I think I need to double click. But it'll be there when we send the stuff out, and the links are embedded. So it'll be very easy.
Yeah, and then Mallory, if you want to look at that, click to that last slide again, please, and leave it up for just a few seconds, and then go ahead and end your recording. Thank you.